Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Great Debaters Contest. This is the first pair of the semi-final, Machakos region. I am your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. The motion of the day today is, free primary education is a hoax.
Proposing this motion, we have Machakos Boys High School.
And opposing the motion, we have Makueni Boys High School. Proposer number 1.
You have 3 minutes.
Now, the greatest lie ever told is a lie told to oneself. And I, Machakos from the Great Machakos School, refuse to lie to myself by strongly proposing the motion that states free primary education is a hoax. Now, what is a hoax? A hoax is an act intended to make somebody believe that something is not true, whereas free primary education is an educational policy carried out by the government to sponsor all the children of its nation in all matters education. That includes educational materials, uniform, and all other related educational materials. Now, universal quality education is one of the Sustainable Development Goals. And the United Nations urges all its member countries to ensure that the children of this particular nation get the best education. And in line with this, free primary education was begun in our country, Kenya, in the year 1971 by the government of the then President Jomo Kenyatta. Now, this was as an effort to make sure that the African children got schools. But however, as time will soon tell, this policy failed in 1988 and was abolished, whereby the parents had to come in and help with the system. Now, you see, in Kenya, free primary education has always been a political pledge with no structural reforms and forms of implementation. And that is why the NAC government of 2003, when it was campaigning, told the Kenyans that it will give free primary education. What a joy this was to the nation. People, governments, and donors worldwide took this act with so much enthusiasm that the World Bank, according to KenPro, funded about 3.7 billion shillings, and the United Kingdom Development and Aid Program funded 1.6 billion Kenya shillings. And so happy were these children. They were going to school. Free education it was. Yes, tutasoma. Yes, that's what they thought. But going to school, allocation was this: 1,020 shillings per child per annum. Seriously. This was at 2003, 1,020 shillings. And this 1,020 shillings, 64% of it is the one which was used to buy textbooks, pens, rubbers, and every other educational material, while the 36% will be used for repairs, utilities, and maintenance of even the stuff. Now, 64% of 1,020 translates to 1,020 shillings, translates to almost 700 and something shillings. What will you buy with 762, or a fair price at that? The current cost of a textbook is around 500 shillings. And yet the government tells you to sponsor you. With 700 shillings, that's only one textbook. How do you expect a child in a public school to use one textbook and then provide quality grades? Why are we lying to our children? Why are we not giving them the required education? And that's why in public schools countrywide, results are always questionable. And the answer? The government increased the number of enrollment because, according to Kenya Online Papers KenPro, enrollment increased from about 38%. But the government never made an effort to increase classes, classrooms, and teachers. What a disappointment for the students. What a lie. Machakos, I'm out.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes for your examination in chief.
I want to learn and work with computers. So long as I receive free primary education, I must learn. Words from Mudhoni Gashegi, a child from Kibera. My name is Kale Mudhami, representing the opposers from Makueni Boys High School, in opposing this motion that states free primary education is a hoax. According to Wikipedia, primary education is typically the first stage of formal education, coming after preschool and before secondary education. A hoax is an act of making someone believe in something that is a lie and mostly unpleasant. Something free is what is not paid for totally. And therefore, based on this motion, I am here to defend that free primary education is not a hoax. Many pupils have benefited from this program. Statistics as per the research done by Free ORG Kenya stipulates that the number of street children who have benefited from this is relatively large. Actually, In the year 2012, 39% of the children from these street families got free primary education in Kenya. Similarly, statistics as per 2016 show that 600,000 pupils in upper primary benefited from free primary education. Old geeks such as octogenarian Kimani Marugu joined class 1 on introduction to free primary education. Currently, he holds the Guinness World Record for the oldest man ever attending primary school. Moving forward, free primary education has helped in realizing and exploiting one's potentials. Children like Emily Wanjiru, who had the opportunity to present her play in front of the great and the drama festivals before Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and William Ruto. This child currently receives full sponsorship and her life has gone through a different course. Were it not for free primary education, this child would not have gotten this opportunity to present what she has in her life. In many public schools, including Buruburu Primary School, Bidi Primary School, and Daniel Komboni, subjects like outside the core curriculum like PE, music, art, and computer are being offered. Were it not for free primary education, then definitely the percentage of those with the knowledge and skills in these fields would have been lower. Free primary education has provided employment to many. In fact, the government in the year 2003 set aside 800 million for this purpose. Today, the government has set aside 18 billion shillings to provide employment to teachers in our country. Currently, recruitment of over 1,000 teachers is taking place in our country. And this is in line with the standard development goals that our country has adopted. From Makueni Boys, I'm Kale Mudam.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for your cross-examination.
Soma, 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 kijana. Now, children were given encouragement to go to schools, but what was waiting for them in schools? Before I talk about that, now, the opposers have given an example of Emily, who was sponsored by Our Excellency. She is only one. Where are the rest who have been staffed in those classrooms? What happened to them? Okay, now, this is what was awaiting the students after being encouraged. There were congested classes. Now, the enrollment increased, yes, but schools did not have facilities to be able to cater for this population. Now, there was a very high increment, and low primary classes had a student-teacher ratio of about 1:70. 1:70 pupils. How can one teacher be able to give attention to all the 70 students? Let's think. Well, these teachers couldn't manage because, first of all, not everybody is fast in learning, right? So yeah, not everybody is fast in learning. Where do we have those teachers who will be able to cater for this? Now, the standard teacher-student ratio, according to UN, is 1:40. Now, that's 30 students who are not catered for. To my second point, there was reluctancy by the government bus funds to the primary schools. Yes, it happened, yeah. But now, the government had a very slow rate in disbursing funds. Where are the textbooks we are going to buy? Imagine, children had to sit on mats because there were no available classes. One teacher, 120 students, and students still afford to sit on mats. For a low primary student, he or she will have to learn writing skills. Now, tell me, under a tree, on mats, students even had to share textbooks. One textbook was being shared by around 5 students. Let us think. Okay, on to my last point. Let's imagine how can these people tell us that free primary education is actually free, and students are reading under trees. Students are sitting on mats. There are not enough classrooms. How do you expect schools to give out results? Public schools were mostly affected, and there was a very high enrollment as compared to private schools. They had no facilities. Let us think. How can we cater for this? Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for your re-examination.
Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. These are the words of Nelson Mandela. Trust me, I believe the writing is so plain on the wall, so clear that even the visually impaired can see it. The benefit is not only huge, but also epic. So epic that it can be avoided. It is well served, a plate of well-garnished pleasantries. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to criticize all that has been articulated by the early speakers. I salute you, ladies and gentlemen, and do wish to quote this. I'm not a critic, but rather I have a heart. Simply because I allude to Abraham Lincoln, who states this, that everyone who has a right to criticize has the heart to help. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe the motion clearly states that free primary education is a hoax. So gentlemen and brothers, I guess you have a problem with your tense because you majorly talked about was a hoax. We are currently talking about is a hoax, not was a hoax. As I proceed, I would never love to self-confuse myself in my entire life. I'd rather lie to myself because confusing yourself is not manly at all, but lying to yourself is acceptable at some point. You confused yourselves and you sounded like you're trying to tell us you are already suffering from something that we don't have. Ladies and gentlemen, don't we understand that even when you talk about Emily, half a loaf is always better than none? Think about it. When you talk about students sharing textbooks, 1:5 ratio, I beg to differ. I have my own sister who is schooling in a public school currently, and she has all textbooks given by the government. Trust me, public education is not a hoax. I think I need now to give you some facts, because that is what I came to do here. The motion is not just about Kenya, it's about the entire world. In Australia, 100% of the students, I quote, 100% of the students are beneficiaries of free primary education. This is given by the report by UNESCO of 2015. In Japan, 2% of students are the only ones that do not attend school, simply because the 98% is covered for by the government through the free primary education. South Korea is ranked number 1 when it comes to education attainment, simply because they have offered their students free primary education. In Finland, 7-year students go to school, and trust me, all of them are day public schools, and they have free primary education. So if it has worked for all these countries, I don't see how you're trying to say it is a hoax. Kindly keep your rumors to yourselves. Rumors are points that have not been identified, and therefore we just can't stand to claim that free primary education is a hoax. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Emmanuel Kimeu, Makueni boys.
The proposers have been asked, if free primary education is a hoax, then how come the KCPE candidate numbers have increased since 2002 up to date? The opposers have been asked, don't they think that free primary education will be an opportunity for political leaders to embezzle government funds? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer the question.
Since when was something free ever paid for? Since when? Mutinda Linus from the great Machakos school, here to propose the motion. First, I'd like to answer the question from the audience by opposing and asking the one who asked the question, where did you get your facts? Because according to our research by Poverty and Economic Research Network, yes, the enrollment increased from 5.9 million to 8.2 million, but only 68% of these enrollments have successfully completed their primary school education. What happened to the remaining 32%? They all went to school knowing that the education was free, but to their shock, it wasn't. Parents had to pay the BOM teachers. Parents had to buy uniform, textbooks, had to pay for exams. And those who couldn't be able to manage the costs had to take their students back home. So tell me, why pay for something? Why get your hopes up only to be disappointed? This led to the fact that there was cost sharing in schools, which led to very many other effects. Those parents who are still tribalistic and prefer the boy child decided to only educate the boy child and leave the girl child out because of the expenses they found in schools. Is this really fair to the girl child? There was poor primary to secondary transition because most of these students, some of them, have problems managing the cost of the school. So why go to high school when you have more costs? You are only supported for free primary. What about high school? Then our opposers have asked us what heart we have if free primary education is not a hoax. Then I'd like to ask you, what heart do you have for almost every year to find teachers in the streets holding hands together? Solidarity forever. No offense, though, to all the teachers in the room. But still, these teacher strikes are because teachers are underpaid. Teachers are not motivated. The UN gave out money. World Bank gave out money. But then teachers were not paid. What happened on the way? Really? Teachers are always striking. Where will we have education when teachers on the streets? Students are in class waiting for teachers. Is this really free primary education? Thank you very much.
That opposer, you have 3 minutes for your answer.
Oh my God. Are you serious? Are you really against this? Are you really against the free primary education? The future of the world is in my classroom today. Those are the words of Ivan Welton Fitzwater. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eric Mumo, a strong opposer of this motion that states free primary education is a hoax. Ladies and gentlemen, let me first begin by answering the question that was asked by a student from Kathiani High School. The student asked, don't you think that free primary education is a plan for the politician to embezzle funds? Simply, yes. It may be a plan for the politicians to embezzle funds. But you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, let's learn to appreciate anything that we are given. Let's learn to appreciate and show the world all that we have given. The second opposer was so eloquent as he said that it's better to have a half a loaf than none. It's better for us to receive those textbooks than not receiving any of the textbooks. Ladies and gentlemen, guys from Makueni, Machakos school, you are nice, you are great, and you are gentlemen, yes. In fact, you have a pretty good style of presentation that makes you interesting to listen. But you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. It's not a matter of linguistics, and it's not a matter of drama. It's a matter of facts. Yes, facts. And here, that's why I'm here to represent the facts here. The third proposer was free to say that we have shortage of teachers. But let me tell you one thing. Teachers are human resource. And for those who have learned business studies, we know that those are human ones, and human ones are never satisfied. Simple. Kindly. Let me correct you, please. You are talking about issue about the girl child. Are we really talking about free primary education, or are we talking about gender? We're talking about free primary education. And from all that I know that in primary schools, whether you are a boy or a girl, you attend classes, and in the free primary education in public schools in the primary level, we all go to class, we learn, we pay the same amount, though it is subsidized, but we pay small amount. And he also said that the statistics that he hears is that people from primary schools, free primary schools, do not do well. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, from the Wikipedia, I've learned that from last year's KCPE, 75% of the students, of the people who qualified for the secondary education, were from public schools. Yes, which the government has provided free primary education, and 25% was only from private schools. Ladies and gentlemen, as I finish up, let me tell you, let's have the human heart. Yes, let's say that simple, that the free primary education is not a hoax. It's not a hoax, ladies and gentlemen.
Proposition, you have 1 minute for your closing statement.
You know, a reggae singer once said, no, 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 no. Opposers. You know, you had a lot of drama in your speech, but you talked about a heart. What is your heart made of? A heart that can proudly stand on national television and say, yes, half a loaf is better than none. Half a loaf of congested classrooms. Half a loaf of inadequate teachers. Half a loaf of inadequate textbooks. Half a loaf of inadequate desks. What kind of a loaf is that? According to me, it's a rotten loaf. Where will they have a loaf which is rotten? Opposers, please stop misleading us. Yes, my opposer did a very good job. Yes, you had a lot of drama, but exactly what did you say? Let me tell you one thing. Free primary education is a hoax. Our children are our future. Are we all going to stand here and lie to ourselves? Yes, take our children to public schools. Yes, it's free, it's free, it's free. But for what? All for quality, which is measurable. Why will you take your child to a school only to get quality, which is measurable? A quality of a certain standard, because you have to make it, because it's free. Because it's free. Seriously, let's think about that. Things should not be free just for the sake of being free. Let us emphasize on quality. Machakos School.
Opposition, you have 1 minute to wrap up your case.
Ladies and gentlemen, Emmanuel Kimeu, I'm back. You talked about half a loaf. It's still something. Trust me, I believe we all want something that is going to be beneficial. We all want something that is going to work for us. We all want something that is going to mold our people into something better for the future. Whether it's half, quarter, and eighth, it's still going to work for us. Ladies and gentlemen, free primary education has worked, will work, and forever it will work. Emmanuel Kimeu, Makueni boys, we do rest our case. Thank you.
John Mwasa, you did a great job in digging through history and telling us where the free primary education started from up to today. That was commendable. You had mastery of content. You gave figures and statistics about the money remitted to schools, although you did not give us the source where you got that. You could even have said using the fee structure or maybe from your school, wherever. Enoch Muteti, use of song that is relevant to what you're saying was commendable. You managed to express your points effectively and at the same time left your audience entertained. Unfortunately for you, you are heavily penalized for not cross-examining, because as a second speaker, cross-examination is a must. And then Linus Mutinda, a very good speaker. That was a very good beginning, using a rhetoric question to challenge your opponent. And you're a very passionate speaker, very promising.
Caleb, when you allude to the president and the vice president, give them the correct titles like I'm referring them to. I don't think they are your brothers outside there, is it? So you want to give them the right titles. However, the point that now it has given a chance for peoples to present before the president and the vice president, I think that was a weak one. Why? Because does that mean they did not present before primary school came through? I think they used to present at State House, so that was quite a weak argument. Emmanuel, good cross-examination. I think you stand out for me, and that was commendable for you. I could not get anything to check out, and I think I love the global tour. That took the motion to another level because now it was no longer about Kenya, and you gave us facts about other countries. Eric, I think you're safe because your answering was a bit safe, and I think you have a way of connecting with the audience. Very passionate, and I think you used your time for cross-examination. However, Wikipedia is arguably a very weak source, all right? Because even you today can go and edit anything on Wikipedia, so sometimes it's not one of the best sources to look at. That was a good debate. All the best.
Now to the results of a debate that has been worthy of its time. Machakos Boys High School, The judges saw it fit to award you 74%. Give him a round of applause. Makueni Boys High School, the judges awarded you 75%, making you the winners of this debate.
Congratulations to both teams. Remember, to our debaters, don't be worried about failure. Remember, you have a lot of chance when you try. We'd like to appreciate our sponsors, Blaze by Safaricom,
And Brand Kenya Board.
for making all this possible. Until next time, I've been your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. See you next time.